Thank you for joining us to our live session today. I'm very, very glad to meet you here, and it's an honor to speak to you with such an important theme, the Biennale, your project. So where are you connecting from? Are you in France, right?
Yeah.
Are you at the office or at your home?
Yes, at the office. It's okay.
Okay. So I would like to start a light question. So how is your mood in general? Because we are having a little bit tough times, you know, as we are experiencing the current situation with the pandemic. How did you office adapt to this current situation with your recent projects, workflow in general?
It's a good question. Thank you. and about the situation, we have two sides, and one side is difficult, obviously, because it's difficult to work with a mask and with this kind of safe protection rules. And but also in another side, it's a very more or less positive, because we are working at the office, and we could develop some competition, some proposal, and some research. And in fact, we have more or less a good balance between this situation without travels, because it's obviously, as you said, I'm traveling a lot, and now it's totally different. But we work more, and especially me, I work more and more closely with the team, and it's better.
Okay, so let's jump into the theme of the Biennale. You selected a theme, Crossroads, Building the Resilient City. But before jumping into the main theme as a general, I would like to start the word of resiliency. I mean, which is a little bit ambiguous and abstract word which need to be explored. So what is resilient city from your understanding point of view? Under which conditions a city can be described as a resilient in terms of healthy or sustainable urbanism? I believe.
In fact, at the beginning, we start about this idea about crossroads. And the idea with this kind of concept, if you want, or figure, crossroad is to merge some different fields together. And step by step, we are introduced the idea about the resilience, because the resilience at this moment is not very clear in our field about architecture. We are speaking about sustainable architecture. We are speaking about some architecture without architect. We could speak about architecture like a political action. We could speak about different aspects about architecture. But now the idea is, with this event in Seoul, is to introduce the architecture on the resilient field, because the resilient field is more global, and the resilient field interesting, and merge some different territories approach, and I think it's nice, and about the relationship between architect and the environment of the architect, the world around the architect. And
okay, so I would like to jump into my second questions about, again, this cross-disciplinary approaches. In recent years, cities have been experiencing several unexpected natural disasters, starting from earthquakes to tsunamis, collapsing of some infrastructures in cities. Most importantly, the climate change has been on our agenda, and still on our agenda, of course. So do you think that architects and urban designers are more sensitive and fighting enough with this natural ecology of the built environment, are playing a more active role for the built environment? So do you believe that architects and urban designers fighting enough with the climate change or other natural forces that need to be integrated in the built environment?
Yes, I think for the architecture and for the architects, sorry, and especially for the architecture, it's a very impressive situation, but it's a fantastic situation also because we could imagine some other limit, some other boundary for the architecture. And in the Biennale, we introduced this kind of crossroad, for example, above and below. And usually the architecture speaking about above the floor. And finally, step by step, we have some capacity, if you want, to control the situation underground becomes architecture. And underground is a waste part of the world. Finally, underground is also the infrastructure. And we spend a lot of money underground. I'm speaking about metropoles, especially, obviously. And the idea is to merge above situation and underground situation, below. And this kind of this kind of morphology is new. And this morphology with some roots from buildings, creating one aspect or one face about the resilience for the metropole. Again, with some another crossroad, heritage and modern. Is the question is a refurbishing, more or less, question. Today, we have a lot of building obsolete. A lot of building doesn't work. Towers built with this kind of curtain facade with some glasses doesn't work today because we should change the facade. We should change the quality inside. And finally, we are changing all existing buildings step by step during the next 20, 30 years. And I think for architects, for architecture, for cities, and for the people working and living in the city is finally a new world. We should refurbish the metropole, we should refurbish the existing situation, and we should merge the heritage and the modernity. And I like it, this kind of crossroad about this opposite field. And also, I would like to say something about the feeling from the architect, because for the Biennale of Seoul, we organize a call for proposal. We received more 400 proposals, and a lot of proposals come from architects with a special topic about craft and digital. This crossroad, craft and digital, is very trendy, is very appreciated by architects, and they propose a relationship, physical, sensitive, about the material, the materiality. And I think it's an interesting information for us. The architect, a lot of architects around the world consider the materiality like the main part about the work of the architecture.
Yeah, just what you said leads me another question. The theme is divided into 5 subtitles.
Yes.
Subfigures.
Yeah.
You down the theme in terms of urbanism, architecture, design, landscape, and city, which is a quite comprehensive approach to draw a general picture of the Biennale. But I think there are 2 subtitles that caught my attention, which they are referring to our current situation related with the pandemic. Crossroads 3, craft and digital, as you said. Let me read your statement. Will examine the potential of the city as an instrument for remote production, accessible by everyone from anywhere, as opposite to traditional production spaces and methods. So I would like to ask, the development of technology has significantly been changing the production of design and architecture. It forces an optimized design, can be sourced, can be an open source, and can be produced anywhere in the world, opposite to traditional methods. Was that what you really meant in the call? Were you expecting the projects that entirely address to remote production And since this call was made during the pandemic, how did it affect the weight of the projects you received so far? I guess you will announcing the winning teams in the next month. Is that correct?
Yes, the next month we will have a very important date. Is more or less the kickoff of the Biennale. And traditionally, the city of Seoul organized 1 year before the grand opening of the Biennale a special event to promote the Biennale. And the date is 29th in October, and we would like, we are organized a special event between Seoul, the city of Seoul, from the City Hall of Seoul, and Paris, from the City Hall of Paris. We organize this kind of exchange to introduce the theme of the Biennale, but also we are speaking about contribution, about a lot of people provide some interesting proposals. And also, this Biennale is not only the Biennale for architecture, it's also the Biennale for cities. And 100, more or less, 100 cities are involved in the Biennale. And finally, at the end, we expect to present 200 or 250 proposals to speak about the resilience. But I think the agenda could be nice, interesting, because in May, more or less, in Venice, the Biennale will be open about how the people live together, are living together. And the Biennale of Seoul is more or less the chapter 2, is where the people are living together. And I think it's interesting about the resonance between how and where. And I believe, and about the commitment, is very important to present some project speaking about where, about the place, about the route, where the people could develop some routes to be installed, as I would like to say like that, in a place. And for example, also the idea is not a promotion, is not advertising for cities. We expect some proposal from cities to be like a commitment to develop the city with a resilient approaches. Example, very prominent, is Renzo Piano. And Renzo Piano will come in the Biennale about the bridge in Genoa, in Gênes. And this is a very big disaster. And Renzo proposed a special process quickly and closely with the political people and with the people living in the city and so. And this kind of relationship for us is very interesting to introduce projects from architects and cities together, creating a new situation, a situation with safety and no risk.
That's amazing. So another subtitle is Crossroads 5, The City Safe and Risk.
Yes.
Which is very, very important because it's the question of the ability of architecture, urbanism to adapt, transform, or manage wide range of risk of the contemporaries, which is completely addresses to the current situation, to the COVID situation, I guess, which shaped the world. So once more, we understand the importance of the adaptable architecture again with this pandemic. So could you please elaborate the title a little bit? What types of projects were you expecting? Which I mean, I should ask, does every architecture need to be transformable into something else?
Yes, correct. And sorry?
If needed, does every architecture should be transformable if needed in the city?
Yes, it's a very important challenge, and it's a little bit difficult because the question is a program. And the question obviously is a client also, but the question is a program, because to change and transform existing building is not so easy, and we should imagine some program with some specificity about the method and the strategy to build the building itself, and for not for only the building, but also for the future, and especially with a program working with the district around, because and in my mind the idea is not only to provide an answer specifically about the building itself. Okay, the building, we know the building could be flexible. Well, a long time ago, we are speaking a building should be flexible. Okay, but the question is how this kind of building could be working with the district around, because in fact we have need a new proximity. We should be more close the neighbor, or this warehouse, or maybe this public space close to the place where you live and where you work. And the idea for me is to introduce some symposium in the Biennale to speak about this concept about proximity, because proximity is physical, absolutely, but also the proximity working with the digital map. Because if you would like to get some services, or maybe to get some goods, product, and so you have need some information. And the idea is to merge the physical situations of the building and the people living and working at this place with a lot of offers around them, but closely at proximity. That is the idea. I don't know if my English is absolutely clear. I'm sorry, but the idea is very clear.
Yeah, that understood. So the
Thank
main
you.
will be showcased in Damon Design Plazas, designed by Zaha Hadid Architects.
Yes.
Main menu. It is designed like a chessboard, as we saw in the graphic, in the images. So could you please talk about the layout of the exhibition? What was your starting point, and what was your real intention for visitors to design like a chessboard? And what will happen in the rest of the exhibition design in the city in general?
Yes, and my first request about the city of Seoul was one place for the Biennale, because the city of Seoul is huge, and you spend a lot of time to move, and I think it's very interesting if we creating a high intensity at the same place for the Biennale, and the morphology of the building of Zaha is absolutely perfect, because you have two levels, okay, but it's not the most important, because between these two levels you have a ramp, and this ramp creating a special way, a parcours, and you could start from the top of the ramp and you visit the Biennale like that, like a Guggenheim way, for example, process, or maybe you could start from the bottom and you could go to the top, and I like it because we could introduce like with a grid on the different platform, two levels. We are creating a grid, and each square of the grid is 4 meters by 4 meters. And the proposal should be included in this perimeter. It is the first step. After, when we collect all proposals, we are creating some constellation. The idea is to morph, to change the rigidity of the grid and to creating some archipel, if you want, and with different themes, and we are creating this visit between different archipel. And the ramp, in the ramp, we are thinking about a special part of the exhibition with some people speaking. And the idea is a lot of people speaking in the ramp. You could see the people, and on the floor for the exhibition, we provide some installation is a little bit different, and that is the idea. You go through the people speaking along the ramp, and you visit some models, some proposal in the floor, horizontal floor of the building.
Oh, that's amazing. Hope to see.
Yes, I hope.
No,
I cross finger.
Yeah. So are you planning in a physical way for the next year, or is there any chance to transform into digital to whole exhibition? Not.
We are working about a parallel way. At this moment, we are focused on the proposals. It's very important to collect all proposals and to appreciate the different quality and specificity of the proposal. And also, it's very important for this event, for the city of Seoul, and for us to promote at the end of October the event. After, during November and December, we should design the final master plan of the scenography. And with the scenographic plan, we could check exactly the different proposals and contracts for different architects, artists, cities working with in this Biennale. And at this moment, with the city of Seoul, we will decide if we transform the events, this event in a digital Biennale, or maybe we could share one part of the Biennale could be physical, maybe another part could be digital, or maybe we continue along with the process, initial process to create a physical and fantastic event in Seoul in the Zaha Hadid building. We have 3 ways.
Yeah, because there's still uncertainty.
Yeah.
So it is the 3rd iteration of the Seoul Biennale after the themes of imminent commons and collective city, and the call has for proposals has coincided with the current pandemic. How will the Seoul Biennale will be different from other iterations? You will announce the selected themes in the next month, maybe. But I'm sure many of the proposals related with the current situation. But how will the Biennale respond to the crisis in other ways? I mean, not just focusing on the proposals in a general format, in a general layout.
And
meetings, discussions.
Yeah, exactly. You are right. And the idea is to about the grand opening. We would like during 1 week to organize some symposium, some visit also, some different events in the city of Seoul, and also in Seoul, but also online, because the idea is to start the Biennale with not only 1 day for the opening, but different, not 20 days, but I imagine 3 or 4 days during the beginning of the Biennale, where the people are coming to speak, to exchange, and maybe to propose some, I don't know, some performance. We will see. But we are very open about the first week of the Biennale, because the first week of the Biennale should give the quality and the tonality and the color of the Biennale itself.
So my final question is, you built a project in Seoul first 2008 with the Women's University, and your recent project Lightwalk, the Gangnam International Transit Center in Seoul, which is under construction, if I'm not wrong. You embed all the functions underground and we see only a surface of the glass tube on the landscape. So could you please talk about a little bit about the project and your experiences, and how would you describe the recent urban developments in Asian city, specifically in Seoul, to cope with the rapid urbanization in terms of density, quality, public space, policy making, and application?
Mm. And about this new project, this big hub in the city of Seoul, and it's a very important and emblematic project because it's a public project, and this project is supporting by the city of Seoul and the state of Korea, and this project is not some railway station, some metro station, is a gallery, and the gallery connecting different public transportation modes. But in this gallery, you have it's not a retail gallery. It's a gallery where the people walk, the people stop, the people exchange between bus and metro, or metro and train, and so. And finally, it's a public space. It's a public space organize this kind of relationship between different public transportation. And the most interesting situation for me is to introduce the natural light in the ground floor, in the soil, sorry, and in the underground situation. And we imagine a beam, a huge beam in glass, like a crystal. This beam, the section of the beam is 10 meters wide, 20 meters high. It's a huge volume along 800 meters long. It's a building. It's a building in glass. This building is introduced on the floor, and the buildings, like optical instrument, conduct the natural light underground. And finally, more or less 200,000 square meters grabs the natural light. It's totally different. It's another world. And finally, at the end, about the visual situation, you see nothing. We are creating a huge project, a lot of people walking and traveling in this kind of spaces, but the present is nothing. And we provide a green space to organize the relationship between, in the center of this downtown district of Seoul, we are creating 3 hectares of a green space, like a new platform for citizens, with the main entrance in this light beam, as we said, light walk. It is more or less the kick name of the project, and I think it's more or less a good, efficient and a good solution to organize a very comfortable, because you are protected, you have no wind, you have no rain, and you could walk. You have the natural light, you have some comfortable and generous volumes inside, and I think it's a new kind of a public space to be introduced in this dry district, because the whole downtown around the world, sorry, are totally dry. You have the ground floor. You install some vertical towers, tack, and it doesn't work. But why? Because we have no roads, and we should creating some roads and connecting this kind of huge building together, creating that like a mutual ground floor, and it's a new life for this kind of cities and for the people, especially because the question is the people. The people are coming to work, coming to get a house or a flat in this district, and we should provide a special place with some new public space.
So, okay, thank you. But dear Dominique, we have collected a couple of questions from our followers before the session. One of our followers asked, how did your interest start in stainless steel and why?
Stainless steel?
Yeah, why you are using so much stainless steel, let's say, and why?
and I use also especially the stainless steel with a mesh material. And we developed the mesh material from 20 years ago, 30 years, I'm sorry, with the National Library in Paris. And the stainless steel is a fantastic material for the steel because it is absolutely not only sustainable, but it's very efficient. And also about I am anytime I was interested about the to develop different material to the limit. And for example, about the steel, if you transform the steel in a mesh, the mesh is very sensual. The mesh is like a garment. The mesh is like is like a cloth, and we introduce the architecture in the fashion design field also, and it's more flexible, it's more special, and for this kind of application about the stainless steel with mesh, and I think it's also is a new way about the textile architecture again, because the textile architecture is not new, but the textile architecture with a mesh in stainless steel is new.
So the second question from our follower is, he asked, how was your working experience on Hotel Sky, which means Me Hotel in Barcelona during 2006 or 7?
Sorry, about a tower? About what?
Your Me Hotel.
Me Hotel. Yes.
So how was your experiencing working on the hotel in Barcelona?
It's a very exciting project because it's a private project, and in fact, Me Hotel is not a solitaire, is not a building alone. The idea is to imagine this crossroad, because you have a very special crossroad between the new diagonal in Barcelona and a big avenue start from this new diagonal. And at this crossroad, we imagine an urban design strategy like a stage, like a stage in a theater. And the building becomes actors. And on this stage, you have, okay, the Me Hotel is the tall building, but on the other side, with a special and very precise geometrical cantilever floating above the horizontal city is a Me Hotel design. And on the other side of the street, you have another building, is an office building with a cantilever, speaking with a Me Hotel. Behind, you have another building is housing, also with the rooftop a little bit with a little bit sliding, if you want, position, and another one building in front of with another kind of cantilever. And finally, we are creating like a special skyline at this place. The Me Hotel is one component about this skyline. I think it's very important. The building don't be alone. The buildings should speak together, creating some specific place with a specific characters.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. So thank you for this amazing conversation with us. I really appreciate that. I'm very glad to meet you here from screen. I hope our ways will come across in somewhere in the world. I hope hoping to turn back to normal. So do you have final words to share with our audience?
Thank you. Thank you, and welcome in Seoul in the September next week.
Yeah, okay.
Next week, here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. So I hope to see you again, dear.
Bye-bye.
Bye.